For those of you that don't know me, I've introduced myself already. I'm FIG's Environmental Officer, and Neil had asked me to say a few words on what this project meant for the Falklands. And for the past year and a half, I have sat on Neil's project management group for this Darwin Plus funded project, which takes place here in the Falklands, but also in South Georgia. So it's really been good to also collaborate with our colleagues in South Georgia who actually share probably a lot more of the same challenges than we often admit. Darwin Plus projects, they seek to leave a lasting legacy, and I hope that this is one of the ways that we can leave that lasting legacy, providing ourselves with the training that we need to take this work forward, and really start thinking a little bit more digitally. Now, I can't say how important it is to do so, to give us the training, give us the tools that we can work smarter and faster and not sit there and work harder, going out into the field and doing a lot more work than we really need to be doing. So to those of you that have been involved in Darwin Plus projects in the past, you'll know how useful these tools are. So I didn't really think I could squeeze all this into 10 minutes, but I thought I'd pick a few examples, and I chose 2 examples on what this project has so far delivered in terms of tools and ways for us to work smarter here in the Falklands. So the coastal mapping project as a whole provides us with a whole range of tools. And the first one that I'd like to focus on is one that's been really specific for the Falklands through what Neil's already mentioned, the aerial imagery from 1956. Now, I like this imagery particularly, and I chose one of the images, and most of you hopefully know where it is. This is down sort of Surf Bay way, and those of you that know what I've been up to for the past year or so know I've been really focusing in on Stanley Common, looking at this area. Now, for me as a manager, as the policy maker, this has helped. This has really, really helped in understanding the changes that our environment's gone through. And I mean, just by looking at it, I can see, right, okay, the road goes a different way. The sand extent is different. The entire land use patterns are completely different. And this has just been in the last 60 years. So having this as a baseline to work from and not needing to go into, I know these sit with minerals, needing to go into your department and sit there with the big pictures out in front of me, that's really, really quite important. Now, some of you think, okay, brilliant, this is great, FIG's got access to it. What about the rest of us? This is open source. This is available online through the web GIS, and that's really, really, really important to us, so that it's not just me sitting at my desk that can access this. I can access it from in here if I log onto my home broadband, but all of you guys can access this as well from home. So that's really been really quite important in helping us work smarter. The next thing the project did, and I know this was it repeated on South Georgia, or was it done there first in terms of the broad scale habitat maps? So I don't know where that was done first, but it doesn't matter. I thought I'd share with you 2 ways I've used these maps. So again, these are available online through the web GIS, but I've used them both at work and I've used them personally as well. So at work, I'm currently looking at all the smaller islands and how we better manage those smaller islands. And part of that is understanding the habitats in these islands, understanding if we know the habitats, we know the threats that are going to affect these habitats. So I'm using that to complement some of the other data sources that we've got. Basically to zoom in, see what different type of habitats there are and see where the threats are as well. So one of the things it gives us is invasive species, or where there's likely to be invasive species. So we know which islands we would need to target for at least a plant-based eradication. The other way I've used this is, some of you know that I'm doing a PhD part-time outside of work, is I've actually used these for my PhD in trying to understand the different habitat types that are along the coastline and how people perceive those different habitat types. So that's been really quite important for me personally as well. So again, it's not just me in my role using them, but anybody can use them for research, for management, but also just for generally having a look around and trying to understand the Falklands a bit better. So why is this coastal habitat mapping so important for us here in the Falklands? Well, as I said, it's about moving towards working smarter and not harder, not spending the time out in the fields, but being able to do this from our desktop, from our computer. As we're ever more growing, we're using the internet a lot more down here. I know that's still a touchy subject down here. But we're spending a lot more time being able to work from our desks and not having to spend the time out in the field, effectively condensing what we need to do. And so tools like this are really important, through the skills that you guys are going to share with us, are really important in making us work smarter. And at the end of the day, I want to take these tools forwards. These tools are not just here for our generation to do what we want to do, they're here for Hamish and Jack, who are going to come into this and going, actually, the adults didn't just leave us rubbish things to take forward, but they've actually sped up the way in which we work. So yeah, I hope that these are tools that we can take forward, not just for this generation, but see how they evolve and take on to the next generation. So thank you.